More now on the continuing investigation into what caused this disaster. We're going to be hearing from those officials. Right now, let's turn to Jay Barbary, NBC News correspondent, who first to report this internal NASA memo that raised questions about the loss of the heat tiles and the shuttle's safe reentry. Jay, it's certainly a compelling memo. Does it speak to specific damage or what they predicted might have occurred?
Yes, it does, Lester. It speaks to the specific damage. I have it here. It says here, the damage conditions included one tile missing down to the densified layer of the tile and multiple tiles missing over an area about 7 by 30 inches. These thermal analyses indicate possible localized structural damage, but no burn-through and no safety of flight issues.
How could they
now,
possibly
that's exactly what they said.
How could they?
Well, I don't think they could. I don't think they could, because obviously if you lost tiles there, and as James Oberg just said, when we saw the pictures here, we saw no tiles fall away, but I think the tiles would have fallen differently than the spray of the debris that hit. Now, I want to say one thing about that piece of insulation. It is foam insulation, but that is heavy stuff. It is not a light foam like we're used to. It is very heavy. And not only that, it has two tanks beneath it in this big tank. It has oxygen at 297 degrees below Fahrenheit. It has hydrogen at around 400 degrees below. And that could have been some ice mixed in with it. But again, there is one solution. You were speaking about the camera. They did run one camera, but then when they ejected the solid rocket boosters, Lester, you'll remember that they had fogged over immediately and we couldn't see anything, but they could get away from that fog. What could happen, about the only thing that could happen after you have damaged tiles on the way into space is do what they call an RTLS, return to launch site abort. Now, they have never done one of those, but that's possible. Once you ignite the solid rocket boosters, you're going somewhere. You have to burn those boosters out. You can't cut them off. So you could take 2 minutes and 8 seconds to get up to speed on the solid rockets. If you saw tiles falling away, you saw anything creating a danger for the astronauts down there, then simply what you could do is cut off the main engines. You're out over the Atlantic Ocean, do a RTLS turnaround, come back and land here at the Kennedy Space Center. Now, that's a tricky maneuver, but it will work.
It's something I assume they practice in the simulators.
Right, and they can do that before going into orbit. But once that you leave the atmosphere and get up to orbital speeds of 17,300 miles per hour, there's only one way to come back, and that's through the atmosphere in heats of up to 3,000 degrees and those heavy stresses that you get on your way in.
Now, Jay, I want to turn your attention, if I can, back to that video of the launch there and give us some perspective. At that point, roughly how fast is the shuttle traveling, and what sort of G-forces is it experiencing?
Lester, I can't answer that. I don't know. I can go back and check on it because it's 80 seconds after liftoff, and by then they are up to 200 or 300 miles an hour at least, maybe even more. I'm just guessing here because you see it lifting off right now in these pictures. So when you get up to 80 seconds, it's up several thousand feet, and it hasn't quite gotten up to what they call maximum Q, but it is approaching maximum Q.
So whatever flew off there, though, whatever flew off had some velocity behind it, no doubt.
Yes, it did. And so anyway, when it came off of this big orange tank, you have to remember you have icing on the outside of the tank. They have an ice team that keeps a watch out to make sure there's not too much ice that will fall off and do the damage apparently this piece did. Now, that could have been foam insulation, but heavy foam insulation that was somewhat frozen, or it could have been ice itself. You can't tell. Here you see it coming down, the piece coming down. Now it's hit the lower part of the wing of the shuttle. Now, if it had knocked any tiles off, you don't see any tiles coming back, but it's glancing off the tiles. The tiles could have fallen down further. They could also have eroded off before you got into orbit. But apparently, you had that area of 7 inches by 30 inches there.
Jay Barbary, thanks so much. It was good to talk to you. We'll check in with you again later. And we want to right now take our viewers to the heart of the investigation. A 28,000 square mile area is being combed thoroughly for debris, and that is a huge heart of the investigation. All the evidence gathered I should say a lot of it, because they're starting to spread out, but a lot of it is being brought to Barksdale Air Force Base in Louisiana. We got a briefing from the folks there. NBC's Don Lemon here to update us on the investigation from that standpoint. Don?
Hi there, Lester. We just learned some new information. Basically, what they're telling us, there are two groups of people here, two different sets of accident investigation boards. One is a mishap investigation team, which is essentially headed by NASA. They came in on Saturday, they say, with a couple of dozen people. And then there's a Columbia accident investigation board, which was set up yesterday, and they came in last night and set up. We're being told that about more than 100 people from the Johnson Space Center and the Kennedy Space Center are on hand here at Barksdale Air Force Base. We're told in the morning, first thing, what they do is have a teleconference between all those folks and the people at the shuttle program office. They teleconference to find out exactly what the updates are from overnight, and then they do the same thing in the evening. So they said they haven't really established a routine, but that's what they intend to do. So today was their first teleconference this morning, and then sometime this evening they'll have another teleconference. We're being told that there are 5 teams out there. Of course, 2 of those teams are from here, an explosives team from here at Barksdale Air Force Base. They're going to house a lot of the debris here and also at Carswell Air Force Base. And then at another time, we're being told, and they're not exactly sure where, it's going to be removed to a different location. But here we'll start the beginning stages, or the initial process of IDing the remains. Some of those remains have been brought here, some of the debris. We're being told that it's less than 1% of either of those. It's being brought in by aircraft, also by automobile, also by truck. They're saying they're using cars, NASA, FEMA, private contractors, all bringing that in, including Black Hawk helicopters and airplanes. So they say however they can get it in here, they're bringing it in, but it's less than 1% of the debris and 1% of the remains. It's being housed in a 6,000 to 10,000 foot, we're told, hangar, but really it's a nose dock. As I explained to you earlier, it's not as big as a big dock that can fit an entire B-52 bomber. It can only fit the nose section in where mechanics can get in and work on the engine. So what they do, they drive the trucks in, or they'll drive a flatbed truck in with all of the debris and put it inside of that nose dock. And then the remains, we're being told, are being stored in a refrigerated room here. So real quickly, I know you guys are wrapping me, but they told they had 2 funerals here, or 2 caskets come in, full color guard with both the American and both the Israeli flags. And really sadly to report, they did that because they have yet to identify those remains. Lester.
A grim task ahead. Don Lemon at Barksdale Air Force Base. We'll be checking back with